Hey, this is Craig the Pool Man with Pool Specialist. Today we have a very elusive problem for you. If your heater happens to turn on and it seems like it's running right, maybe for 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or even 4 hours, it's very possible that it is your airflow switch. And what would happen is in your display it's going to come up as an ignition error. So when you get to the heater, if you see ignition error, you can go ahead and you can check that. You go into menu, and then you're actually going to hit your down button a few times, and you'll see that it says units, history. So we want the history, and we're going to select that, and then you can actually scroll through and you can see all the last 5 errors. And a lot of the times what you're going to see is you'll see ignition, of course, because that was your ignition error, but then you'll also see airflow sensor. And of course, anytime the heater turns on, you technically first get an airflow sensor error because the airflow switch has not been closed by the fan yet. So if you're seeing a group of airflow switch errors and also ignition errors, the ignition errors are probably the airflow switch. So just to give you an idea. Now, don't immediately jump to that, because it is possible that your gas pressure is off. And so the very first thing I always do is I check my gas pressure, and I verify that my gas pressure is correct and that I have the right dynamic pressure, the right flow, the right volume, everything going into the heater for it to run properly. If all that is correct, it is very likely your airflow switch. And they tend to be very elusive, not only on the MasterTemp, but it will also show up on the ETI heater. And I can remember spending about 6 hours with the Pentair direct technical support that come out, and we were baffled, and it turned out that it was the airflow switch. The contact just gets a little bit weak, it doesn't make a full connection, and once it doesn't make a full connection, then it triggers that ignition error. Now if you were completely going to disconnect it, it would give you an airflow switch error, but that usually does not happen. So we're going to give you an idea of how to switch this out, and as a convenience, I've already removed all of the screws from the front panel. There's 4 screws. All right, so here are the 4 screws. They've been removed, so you can just kind of pick it up, drop it, and set it off to the side. I'm going to do the same exact thing with the other side, and I'll set that off to the side. Then there are 4 wing nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can remove those, and then this lifts off. And of course, this is really a nice feature where you can flip this display around to wherever it's the most convenient for you. So for the point of the video, we had it over there. Usually we keep it over here, but it's kind of irrelevant. So we're going to set this out of the way, and then we're going to have to move the camera. Okay, so this is your airflow switch right here. Now the wires, it doesn't really matter whether you put the right, whether this one's here or this one's here or here. It just doesn't matter. So that's not important. It's a switch. It's either on or it's off. End of discussion. Now, the other thing is you've got 2 tubes coming into this. Those are your airflow. This is very, very important. So if you notice, this is on the front and goes to the black or the front, and then this one goes to the back and is on the back. And there's little tabs on here that it's easiest just to remove with a old school standard pair of pliers. There's 2 screws on this, There's one underneath on the bottom, and there's one on the top. The one on the bottom is just a royal pain in the neck to get out sometimes, and even more of a pain in the neck to get in. So to be perfectly honest, I usually don't bother putting back the one on the bottom. And sometimes you'll have to break this switch, the plastic piece, in order to get it out. As you can see on this one, it's a little bit broken in order for me to get it out, because I just couldn't get a tool because it's behind this fan motor right here. So not quite sure who engineered that, but if they would have moved it up just 1/4 of an inch, it wouldn't have been an issue. So let's get a pair of pliers and remove these hoses. And I like to have the new one ready to go, just so that it doesn't get confused. And I'm going to take the hose off of the front one simply by taking that little clamp, pushing it back, and then you can twist that and pull it off. Put it on the new one. And then you've got this one. Take this off. And make sure you put those clamps back. You want to make them, position them so that you can actually get the pair of pliers on it. If they are kind of cut into here too far, then you could just hold the tube and twist it, and it'll usually twist with the tube, which makes it relatively easy to get off. So you want to make life easy for yourself. Now, as anal retentive as I am only going to put in this top screw. And I mean, for our purposes, that is just fine. It is not going to be an issue with this whatsoever. Try to keep the position of it correct. Put your wires up. And now we can put our top back on. We can turn our heater on. And of course we get the airflow switch fault right up front, and then shortly after it goes away. You're going to wait about 30 seconds for it to ignite. And now we're back up and running. So very quick and easy fix. These heaters are very easy to repair. Normally they're very easy to figure out what's wrong with them, but this is a very elusive problem. So if you run into the case where you're getting an ignition fault, it could very well possibly be your airflow switch. You could alternately, if you're not looking at testing it, you could, if you test it with an ohm meter, it's going to test fine, but it may or may not be okay. You could actually jump it with some alligator clips or wire or whatever after the heater starts, but initially it must be open. And then once the airflow happens, then you have the, once the airflow happens, then it closes the switch and makes the contact. Hope that was educational. If you found it beneficial, please give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.